Working. All right, guys. So here we are. Just trying to do some housekeeping before I actually go into what I have in mind to talk about today. So please help me to share. That will be of much help if you can. Just because I haven't been live for a very long time, my audience are, everywhere. They've gone away. So I'm trying to bring everyone back again. So if you help me share, that would what's the word again, that will let more people know that Nkechi Fest is back, yeah. And then they can try to connect, and hopefully with time I should be able to build back the audience, and we would be able also to have more people watching and interacting at the same time, just like we used to. So please, if you don't mind, wherever platform you're watching, you could help me to share this. That would help a lot, trust me. And then, the more the merrier. So I'm also trying to share in my other pages. So hopefully we'll be able to connect more people to join in. Okay, so as you can see, the topic that I wanted to talk about today is Nnamdi Kanu, Tinubu's plan to release Nnamdi Kanu that has been stalled by southeastern politicians. How far that is true, I personally cannot tell you, to be honest. But they always say that there is no smoke without fire, and I am a firm believer of that. So when anything again, iganu today na some element of truth, us ihe okwu na-ebute okwu. Okay, so what I've done now is that um I've shared the link for people to join in, and it's on the comment section. So I want to be able to get back to where we used to be, like when we have several people joining in and we can all just discuss these matters. I hate to just be me blabbing and talking, but I know that for some time now it's probably gonna be like that because a lot of people just didn't know that I still do live streaming. So I know with time, if I stay consistent, people are gonna, keep connecting to it. So if you want to join in, that link is on comment section, but I'm not holding my breath that I'm gonna have much people to join in, to be honest. So I'm just gonna get on to discuss what it is that I have in mind to talk about. So as you can see it on screen right now, that piece of news it was an exclusive, I think, yesterday on Sahara Reporters, and they had said that Tinubu's plan to release IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu stalled by Southeast Nigerian politics, Okay, and then Imo governorship poll, which is the Imo governorship election that is coming in. So I'm just gonna browse through that news, which was published on the 13th, and it says that Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, would have regained his freedom but for Imo state politics and the forthcoming governorship election in the state. Sahara reporters can exclusively report this. So, just a wee bit of analysis here. I was when I heard this, I think it was 2 days ago, and we were actually having a discussion about this in a space. What I was wondering to myself is, I don't know if anyone else, would be able to answer this. What does Imo politics, like the Imo election, what does it actually have to do with Mazi Nnamdi Kanu? If he gets released now, the question I ask myself is, does that mean that the Imo election won't be able to go on? Why do they have to keep him because of Imo election? So I am trying so hard to understand that. If well, he wasn't released during the general Nigerian election. If not, I was going to say, if he did not affect that? How is it going to affect Imo election? Why is it Imo election? Why Ozodinma, Ozodinjo, whatever you want to call him? Why does it have to do with Imo election? So does that mean that he has more hands to play regarding Mazen Nnamdi Kanu's detention, or is it just a coincidence? Because um, I don't understand how they're not going to release him because of Imo election. Anyway, the news goes further to say Kano, the leader of the separatist group, was on June 19, 2021, abducted from Nairobi airport in Kenya and then detained and tortured for about 10 days in Kenya. I guess we already know this, how he was kidnapped, like some people would prefer to use, how Mazen Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped in Kenya and all that he went through, and how we are where we are at the moment. So I believe everybody already knows that. So I'm not gonna dwell much into that. So I think that's just them trying to give a bit of a history. So, under Muhammadu Buhari's administration, Kano was subsequently flown by a private plane from Kenya to Nigeria later in June 2021. So, it's June 2021, June 2022, June 2023. So, it actually means that Nnamdi Kano has been incarcerated for 2 years now, actually, over 2 years now. If that happened in June 2021. And then since Kano was brought to Nigeria to face trial for terrorism charges, he has been detained in solitary confinement at the headquarters of the Department of State Services, Nigeria's secret police, in the capital city of Abuja. This is just them trying to stretch the story a bit, I believe, and giving a bit of background, because these are things that I believe most of us already know about: how he was incarcerated, where he is, and how Buhari refused to release him. Okay, so just going further, Sahara Reporters reports that since Kano was brought to Nigeria to face trial for terrorism charges, he has been detained in solitary confinement at the headquarters of the Department of State Services, Nigeria's secret police, and the capital of Abuja. So Mr. Kano, who is also a British citizen, has requested consular assistance from the British government, but appeals failed. So we all know how the British government deserted Kano. Nnamdi Kano, as everybody knows, is a British citizen, and when he was abducted, I mean, when this ordeal happened to him, most people were hopeful that he wasn't gonna be detained for long, because a lot of people argued, oh, he's a British citizen, Britain is gonna fight for him, this, that, and that. But unfortunately, none of that happened. He also officially requested for consular services from the British High Commission in Abuja, I believe, but unfortunately, he did not get any assistance from them. So that request for consular services obviously failed. So, like I said earlier, this is just like a wee bit of background, but these are things that I believe, most of us already know. And however, sources in the presidency told Sahara Reporters, which is where I'm reading from on Friday, that President Bola Tinubu would have ordered the release of Kano, but he was advised against doing so at this time by some politicians close to him. And Sahara Reporters also learned that Tinubu was advised to hold on till after Imo State governorship election scheduled for November 11th, 2023, at Kano's release before then could have political implication in the Southeast region. So that's the question I'm asking, and I believe if anyone else have the answer, I've shared the link. In case you want to come in, you can click on the link to be part of the conversation. So the question I'm asking is how Kano's release would have affected the Imo State election. I don't get it. You know, the court has said that this man needs to be set free. So why are you still keeping him? After the Imo State election, are we not going to have more elections in Nigeria? So if you don't release him now because of Imo State election, you're going to have an excuse not to release him again because there are going to be more elections in Nigeria. After the Imo State elections, I believe there are other state elections that will still go through, and local government elections, and it just carries on in a vicious cycle like that. So I believe they're looking for every excuse to hold on to. But what is actually paining me the more is when they are now associated with politicians from Southeast, because I mean, as na ne keda Igbo adage, um, onwe ilu Igbo m na-eche. That's an Igbo adage I was looking for. N'ihe na-ata mkpi dị mkpi na-arụ, or something like that, something like it's people that are close to you that will deal with you the more. Because Igbo politicians, like we all have been asking for since 2021 that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu got incarcerated. We've been requesting, asking from every avenue. A lot of people have been talking about this, that Igbo politicians should be the ones speaking for Nnamdi Kanu's release, if not for anything else, to bring back stability, in the Southeast. So how is it that Tinubu now wants to release him, or rather wanted to release him, and it's still these same Igbo politicians who became cog in the wheel and not wanting him to be released, using excuse of Imo State governorship election, which I honestly, sincerely, in my own personal view, I don't see how Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's release would have affected Imo State election. It's not like it's the whole Southeast election, or maybe that is Nigerian election. Nnamdi Kanu is not even from Imo State to start with. So what does this especially have to do with Imo State that they're not going to release him because of Imo State election? Anyway, let's continue. So like I said, I'm reading from Sahara Reporters, and if you're watching, thank you for being here. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube and follow on Facebook, please. This is me just coming back on proper live stream, and I need all the support I can get. Like I need more people to connect, because if people are not watching, I'm just going to stop. So if you want to keep seeing me, you better please help me to share as well. Okay, so going forward, the release of Nnamdi Kanu was told by the Southeast politics of Imo State. They claimed to Tinubu that his release might affect the election in Imo, so the president waited, one of the sources told Sahara Reporters. So don't forget, this is an exclusive news from Sahara Reporters. Obviously, they have their ways of finding out stuff, so I'm just sort of repeating what is said on Sahara Reporters at this moment. So on Sunday, another separatist leader, Sunday Adeyemo, I think that's Sunday Boho, popularly known as Sunday Boho, who was in Cotonou, Republic of Benin capital, said that he was now legally free to return to Nigeria. Oh, wow. After 2 years. I haven't even heard this. So, so Sunday Boho now, Adigo legally free from whatever it is that they charged him for. So he can return to Nigeria now if he wishes. Oyabo, when Igbo people start crying, people will say, "Oh, you guys are crybabies. You cry a lot. You moan about everything." But just look at these two scenarios. Nnamdi Kanu, who was illegally incarcerated or illegally abducted from Kenya, brought back to Nigeria. Even the court in Nigeria has said you do not have any basis to try him. He is supposed to be set free, take him back to Kenya and bring him back, normally in a legal way, and then we can take it from there. He is still there. They are still even saying, oh, Tinubu wanted to release him, this, that, and that. But Iwoho, according to this news that I'm reading now, is now free, according to him, to come back to Nigeria. So Iboho, who has since left the Republic of Benin to see his family in Germany. So he's even traveled from Benin to go to Germany to see his family, disclosed that he was now free to return to Nigeria and visit any country of the world. Wow. That's interesting. I'm happy for him, don't get me wrong. But then what's good for the goose is also good for the gander. So why is Nnamdi Kanu still in the situation where he is? Is it because he's Igbo? Or is there anything more to it? Because Obun Nnamdi Kanu, for example, I'm just saying, would he still be in that situation if he was not an Igbo man? So I need someone to answer that. Okay, so Ibuho says that he's free to travel to anywhere in the world. He's free to come back to Nigeria, which is great news. I mean, people should not suffer unjustly. So the Yoruba Nation agitator said he had fulfilled all the legal conditions attached to my bail. This is now quoting him, attached to his bail few years back, and he's coming home to Nigeria, to his country of origin, any moment from now. I believe he would have a heroic welcome when he comes back. So Ibuho was arrested on July 2021 at Cardinal Bernardin International Airport in Cotonou while trying to travel to Germany 3 weeks after he was declared wanted by Nigerian secret police, the Department of State, blah, blah, blah. Nigerian government made efforts to have Ibuho expedited to Nigeria from the Republic of Benin. I like calling it Benin, like it was done in Kanu's case, but they failed. He was later granted bail by a Benin Republic court and was allowed to remain in Cotonou. Iboho commended some prominent Yoruba indigenous politicians, the media, academia, and monarchs for the support he enjoyed in Cotonou. Okay, so I remember somebody talking about a video. I didn't see this video myself, but I was in a space and somebody was talking about a video that Iboho made where he mentioned people like Obasanjo, some prominent Yoruba men and women who helped him escape from Nigeria and also who helped him survive in Cotonou. And that person was actually basically, asking that if Iboho was an Igbo person, and he made such a video and was thanking like prominent Igbo people. Let's say he mentioned somebody like B2B, for example, you know, the person was questioning what would have happened to those Igbo politicians that Igbo would have mentioned, like, or it would have sort of destabilized the polity and everybody would be talking about it, trying to tag them IPOB or whatever. But Igbo, I mean, say Yoruba man, he was free to make a video and to mention people that he appreciated, who he feels had helped him in his journey through to in Cotonou, from when he escaped from Nigeria, got to Cotonou, and to now that he's free. According to this news, he's a free man now. He can go to anywhere in the world. He can come back to Nigeria whenever he wants without anybody disturbing him. So let's try to swap it now that Iboho was an Igbo man and Iboho was Nnamdi Kanu, for example, and then all that happened to him in Cotonou. And let's say, because let's say that some Igbo politicians and prominent men and women helped him, and then he would come out to make a video to thank them. Don't you think that that would have been a problem? But no, it's not going to be a problem because Igbo is a Yoruba man. He's not an Igbo man. So, like I said earlier, some of these things is so glaring. But it's unfortunate that when you see all these things happen as an Igbo woman or as an Igbo man, and you try to speak up, people are trying to gag you, to make you feel bad about yourself, to make you feel like, oh, you're always complaining. No, you're not complaining, because if something is not going wrong, then you won't have anything to talk about. Igboho commended some prominent Yoruba indigenous politicians, the media, academia, the monarchs for the support he enjoyed in Cotonou. So obviously, apart from them helping him to escape from Nigeria to Cotonou, which, don't get me wrong, which is great, because at the end of the day, his life was in danger. They supported him in Cotonou, which we all know he was going to court. And we know when some of their prominent men also went to Cotonou to see him, and the kind of support that they gave him, which is fantastic. And I thank and appreciate them for that. I wish that our Igbo people can even do, a quarter of what these people did for their own man. Okay, so Sahara reporters had reported that the Court of Appeal in October 2022 discharged Kanu of the counts filed against him. The appellate court subsequently barred any further arrest, detention and trial of Kanu by the agents of the government. Just like this is what I read, I said earlier. The court had already discharged Kanu, of all the counts against him, and he's free to go home. Why are they still keeping him? And now they're giving us excuse that it's because of the Imo State election, which I think is nonsense, trust me, because I don't see what Kano has to do with Imo State election, that if they actually want to set him free, that they wouldn't. They can give him conditions, so, but they're just keeping him for reasons best known to them, because this Imo election that is not being used as an excuse, it will come and go. And it's not going to be the last election in Nigeria. They will still say, oh, okay, we are keeping him because of 2027 election, because when he comes out, he's going to disrupt the polity, and maybe by then he would say, oh, that people should not go out to vote. Anyway, the Nigerian government later appealed against the judgment at the Supreme Court, and subsequently got another panel of the Court of Appeal to stay the judgment of the appellate court. Despite the judgments in favor of Kanu, he has remained in solitary confinement at the facility of the DSS, of course. So Kano has been in the DSS facility, even though his lawyers applied for him to be transferred to, I think it was Kuje Correctional Center, if that's the right word. All these things were neglected by the DSS and the court. So he's still at the DSS. On Tuesday, Kanu, through one of his lawyers, Aloy Ejimako, said the Court of Appeal should not consider adjourning the hearing on IPOB's appeal challenging its proscription as a terrorist organization by the Nigerian court. So this actually, I think, is in other news. Yeah, if we all know, some years ago, IPOB was proscribed and as a terrorist group, and they filed an appeal, which has not been heard, according to IPOB lawyers. So on Tuesday, which was Tuesday last week, I think Aloy Ejimako made a tweet and was saying that appeal should not be adjourned again. I think there's been several adjournments regarding that matter. The Abuja division of the Court of Appeal in March fixed October 16th to hear the appeal filed by IPOB to challenge its proscription as a terrorist group. All right, cool. So this should be tomorrow. So this is actually proper timing for me, because I'm going to follow that up tomorrow and see. So it means that IPOB's case should be heard tomorrow, which is the 16th of October. And Ejimako was telling the court to make sure that that hearing doesn't get adjourned anymore, because that has happened for like several years. That has always been adjourned. So they are warning that it shouldn't be adjourned anymore, even though I don't know what they're going to do if it gets adjourned. It's what it is. This is Nigeria anyway. The Nigerian government under former President Muhammadu Buhari proscribed IPOB over its alleged killings and other atrocities in its agitation for the actualization of the Biafra nation. And on January 18th, 2018, a federal high court sitting in Abuja held that the proscription of IPOB by former President Buhari's government was in order. So this was in 2018. Justice Abdul Abu Kafarati of the Federal High Court proscribed IPOB based on the expert motion filed by the then Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, on behalf of the Nigerian government, specifically declaring as illegal all IPOB's activity, particularly in the southeast and south-south Nigerians of south-side regions of Nigeria. Anyway, as you all know, IPOB is only proscribed in Nigeria and not anywhere else in the world. So, and they have filed an appeal for a long time for this against this proscription, but that same appeal has always been adjourned. So hopefully it gets heard tomorrow, and fingers crossed, we'll all look forward, we'll all follow it to see what the outcome is going to be. So they can quickly proscribe IPOB, but we have Zemietiala, Fulani herdsmen, people who are actually causing terrorism in Nigeria, still, moving about without being proscribed. Even though they were, I think when Buhari, before he left office, he was saying, I think there was a recommendation or something for them to be proscribed as a terrorist group, but we're still waiting. That hasn't happened yet. Anyway, so that's a story for another day, I believe. IPOB, in its 5 grounds of appeal, contended that Justice Abu Kafarati erred in law and occasioned a miscarriage of justice when he ruled that the mandatory statutory condition requiring Buhari's approval under section blah blah blah. I'm not gonna go into all that section. It's too technical. Okay. Oh well, that was the end. So I think I'll have to requiring Buhari's approval under Section 21C of the Terrorism Prevention Amendment Act 2013 was satisfied on the authority of a memo. Okay, guys, you can check that news out on Sahara Reporters. I'm not gonna go into all that section 1 to 10, all that. I put it to you and all that blah blah blah. But I guess we got the point. So 3 things we are touched in that news. One is that the news claims that President Tinubu would have released Nnamdi Kanu, but that his plans to do that was stopped by Southeast politicians. And the reason that they gave is that if Nnamdi Kanu is released, is going to affect the upcoming Imo State election, which I'm questioning how and why, because as far as I'm concerned, I don't understand how releasing Mazen Nnamdi Kanu would affect Imo State election. To be honest, if they actually want to release him, they know why they are still keeping him, because the court has said that this man, should be released. They should release him, at least obey their own courts. They should release him, and if they want to rearrest him, go do it through the right channel. Anyway, so that's one. And then the second one was from that news again. We saw that Iboho is now free to come back to Nigeria, to travel to anywhere in the world, if he desires. And that's a good news, if you ask me. Okay, and then the third one is that IPOB's case is going to court on the 16th of October. The appeal, because they were proscribed and they had appealed for years now, and that appeal has been um, adjourned all the time. So, but it's due to be heard tomorrow, and the Ejimako was warning that he hopes that it's not gonna be adjourned anymore. So that's where we are. I want this to be just short and sweet, so that anybody who didn't catch me live can actually watch it at once and enjoy it. So that's half an hour gone. And since I didn't have any people or anybody join me live in the studio, I'm going to be rounding off now, and hopefully I'll catch you guys again tomorrow. So please, if you haven't already, please, 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 I beg you, subscribe if you're on YouTube, and if you're on Facebook or Twitter, try to follow me, please. That will help me, and then help me to share this broadcast so people will know that Nkechi Fast is back, 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 and better. Yeah, it's been years, isn't it? So I'm sure you're happy to see my face again. So if you're happy to see my face again, other people will also be happy to see it again. So please help me share. Just share it. It doesn't take you anything to share. All right, guys. Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night. And I will definitely